concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, you guys? Happy Monday evening. Uh-oh. Oh, you better not. Pause syncing. 2 hours. That was a close one. We almost had a OneDrive incident. No. We need no OneDrive incidents. We want good, clean streaming, excellent upstream connections. No nonsense. Isn't that right? Diddy FPV wants to know, how can you physically reduce gyro noise? I don't know. Your mom... Soft mount the flight controller. I'm trying to think of a your mama joke that goes with a quadcopter. How would you? Okay. A yo mama joke that has to do with a quadcopter. Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna do it. This is the. I'm gonna do it. Hang on. You got to give me a minute. Yo mama is so what? It's usually fat or dumb. Yo mama is so fat. Oh, I was going with soft mounting. That's a different direction to take the joke. Oh, I don't know. I got it. Yo mama is so... She thought a PID loop was... Damn it. Yo mama's so fat, not even a FreeFly Alta X could lift her. I don't know. This is pretty weak. Welcome to Livestream, you guys. It's Monday night. We're going to do a Q&A. Yo. Hey, hey, Tony RZ, don't squash creativity. There's no criticism in the writer's room. There's only positivity and brainstorming. You got to start with bad jokes before you get good jokes. Oh. I'm not going to be doing a Q&A tonight. I'm going to be workshopping my jokes. I'm going to be doing a live stream. I'm working on a comedy routine about FPV. I'll be debuting it at Rotor Riot Rampage. Welcome to the stream, you guys. Tonight's drink is a old-fashioned. It's a little watered down because I tried a new thing. I never have time to make a simple syrup. And if you put sugar in a cold water, it doesn't dissolve, right? So I took a couple tablespoons of water, I put some sugar in it, and I microwaved it for a second so that it would get hot and dissolve, and made a little mini simple syrup. And it worked pretty good, but it kind of watered the drink down. So we'll keep working on it. Yo Mama's got such a big beard. When she went on YouTube, people thought she was Stinger Swarm. Okay. This is not what we do here. What we do here is you ask questions, I answer questions. Here's what we got going on. If you're new here, this is the deal. You, Guillermo Nesprolo, by the way, that was your joke. That was Guillermo's joke. I took it. Full credit to Guillermo Nesprolo for that joke about Stingy, if bad or good. Flylo, that's the dumbest question you could possibly have asked. I'm going to give you one more chance to demonstrate that you just had a moment of idiocy, because if you ask another question like that, I'm going to assume you're trolling, and I'm just going to ban you from the channel. I think you're just like trolling, and that's one. And two will be you're out of here. So that's a stupid question. Don't ask the questions like that, please. That's just dumb. I'm going to be taking your questions here. I will also be, yeah, who made that old fashioned? It looks like it was made 2 hours ago, says Max Plastic. Yeah, I need to get one of those fancy big ice makers for people who drink mixed drinks. I made this probably 10 minutes ago before the stream started, maybe 15. There you go. It's good. These folks over here are my patrons on my Discord server. You can join them by joining my Patreon. What's your battery charging setup in regards to safety, says Pilot Extreme. By the way, I should let you know, the lights are off today. I wanted it to be atmospheric. I sat down to do the stream, and I realized I'm wearing a gray shirt, and I cannot wear gray shirts, light brown tan shirts. I cannot wear those because every other surface in my room is that color, and if the lights are, and if I do, I just blend into the background. It's terrible. So I decided at the last minute I'd just turn the lights off. So that didn't happen. So that's why we're having the atmospheric. My charging setup, you can see behind me. It's a plastic table with 4 chargers on it. No special considerations as regards to fire. The main thing that I do as regards to safety and charging is don't charge unattended. And the minute a battery is remotely suspicious, get rid of it. There you go. That's my take. Don't charge unattended, be ready for things to go wrong, and get rid of suspicious batteries. Charging on a cookie sheet is not a bad idea. Having a set of fireplace gloves, big heavy leather gloves, is a good idea, because then if you have to grab a pack and throw it out the window, you won't burn your hands. A lot of people, with a battery will light off, they'll grab the battery and throw it, and they'll get really bad burns on their palms. So there are various things you can do. This is what I do. This is where my safety profile is. I'm down here all day, every day working. So it's easy for me to charge and I'm really paranoid about getting rid of batteries that have problems. Fire extinguisher is very good to have on hand. The fire extinguisher won't put the batteries out, but it will put out the secondary fires. If you ever meet Jeff Orta, ask him whether you can use a roll of duct tape to put out a fire. He'll know why you're asking. Ammo boxes are good. A lot of people use ammo boxes. Storing them in fireproof boxes is good. All very good things. Welding gloves, Johnny DRC, that's exactly right. Yeah. So before we get it, so I wanted to I wanted to answer a couple questions just to demonstrate what we do here. I also want to say, if you want to make sure I get your questions, look at all these questions going by, and they're just, I'm like, there they go. Bye. If you want to make sure I get to your question, hit the $ down here, leave a super chat, and I'll read the super chats for sure. I will get to these super chats in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to show you guys this. I did this today. Okay? I just want to brag. That's all I'm doing. Check this out. Hang on, I need desktop sound as well. Hold on. Let's make sure it's not gonna like blow you out. I did this today. Okay, that was not bad. That was not bad, but I can do better. Oh, we got, is there a little jiggle? There's a little jiggle there. Something's up. I didn't see that when I was flying. Yeah, buddy. You like that? Yes. There's a little wiggly jiggly there. I don't know if you can see it on the stream. A little, yeah, little twitching. Little problems with this build. Hello! Yeah, so, backwards, baby. What? This is bad. All right, hang on. But wait, it gets better. Then I said, what could I do to up the game? Oh, hang on, I gotta turn the volume down here. Hold on. So I was like, okay, let's do something harder. And so I did a backflip. No, wait, that's not the move. Okay, now how about this? Shut up! Shut up! Oh, yeah, you think that was luck? It might have been. It might have been luck. I did that on a couple other times too. I just wanted to show you guys that because I'm proud of myself. I did that today. Thank you. I was doing that because I was doing that stuff because I was durability testing a quadcopter frame. I'm not going to tell you which quadcopter frame it was yet. And so I thought, I'm just going to try some crazy-ass move that I'll probably crash a lot trying to get it. And then I hit the move a couple times. So, there you go. Anyway. Max Plastics, you're right. It was the tank. It was the... I posted about it on social media today. It was the Catalyst Machine Works tank. That's what I was flying. No, I didn't memorize the timestamps bean time. I just queued it up before the stream. Cannon Hughes wants to know, can I attach a power supply to the ISDT 608AC, the one with the detachable power supply? Yep, absolutely. It's got an XT60 input, and you can just use that. Just make sure the input voltage is within the rated range. Is there a way that Vista won't go into low power mode when you disarm? Asks Helix in Wonderland. Yeah, turn the temperature protection off. That's what you should do. That's what I do. Turn temperature protection off. It's in the device menu, I believe. My stream is not acting up as far as I can tell, Hotmail boy. I show 0 dropped frames, so I think it's you, my friend. Maybe reload that page. Matthew Stanton in the Discord wants to know, is it possible to have absolutely no prop wash on a quad? I built a quad, it flies real nice, but there's prop wash on sharp corners. It seems worse than my Titan XL5. I mean, I've had quads that were very difficult to get prop wash out of, and I've had quads that, you know, I would say that it's usually going to be possible to get it unsettled if you try hard enough, but there are some that are pretty difficult. That depends a lot on the hardware as well as the tune, though. So usually it's up to you to fly out of the prop wash more than it is up to the PID controller. Can you even tell the difference between budget motors and expensive motors like the Emax Eco 2? Asks Rect FPV. Rect, I think that a lot of times the more expensive motors, what you're paying for is consistency of the build. In fact, I know for a fact that like the Vanover motors from Rotor Riot, excuse me, there's something on my shirt here. The Vanover motors from Rotor Riot are made by LD Power, I believe, and LD Power has a similar motor. Is it LD Power? I may be getting the OEM wrong. Whoever the OEM is for the Vanover motors, they have their own version of like an identical motor. And when the Vanover motors first came out, people said, why would I do this? And the OEM is basically binning the motors. The best ones that come off the line get turned into Vanover motors, and then all the others get turned into their OEM, and the OEM ones are cheaper. So you're paying for the quality control and the consistency there. There are, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. That's very rude. There are absolutely some very good budget motors in, say, the $14 to $20 range. And many of the motors in the $26 range, the $20 to $26 range, what you're paying for is maybe a little bit lighter weight. Maybe you're oftentimes paying for durability. So the more expensive motors will have a titanium shaft. They may have a higher grade of aluminum. They may have upgraded bearings. They may have like a bushing or something that helps absorb shock on the bearings. So you wouldn't notice those things if you were flying a brand new motor, but the more expensive motors may last longer. I would say that unless you want something very specific from your motor, most people are going to be best served by a motor in the, say, $14 to $20 range, with maybe about $18 to $20 being a real sweet spot. But there are some good motors out there that are closer to $14 or $15. I have no idea why they're so cheap. Usually, once you get below about $14, $15, you start to see a lot of compromises. It doesn't mean that you should never buy those motors. Just, they're a little more like beater motors. They're not going to last quite as long. But the thing is, if you fly like bandos and car parks, if you fly concrete all the time, it's hard for me to argue that you should spend $20, $25, $26 on a motor. Because concrete, you take a good whack on concrete and you're going to just destroy whatever motor you are flying. And I know there's people out there who say, the such and such motor, man, I really just cannot destroy them. I'm telling you, you take the right hit and you're going to destroy it, right? So I think if you're like racing and you need the absolute best performance and you're going to build 5 or 10 of the same quad, maybe buy expensive motors. Maybe. But if you're a fun flyer or if you fly bandos and stuff, you shouldn't be spending a ton of money on motors because you're just going to destroy them anyway. FPV for life in the chat wants to know, how do you compare the tank to the 4-inch shocker? I mean, the tank build that, should I spoil the review? Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spoil the review. Gosh, guys. Okay, for you, just for the live stream. Don't tell anybody. The tank, so what are we talking about here, first of all? Catalyst Machine Works Shocker HD Freestyle Tank. This is their, it's a version of the Shocker frame, which is itself very, very similar to a Remix. In fact, Neil Whiteley in the build video for the tank even acknowledges the remix as a quote-unquote inspiration. Oh, come on. Don't block me, you monkey. I want to just make a freaking image. I hate it when websites do this. Please let me do this. Don't make... Fine. There. You happy? So, the one that they sent me, it doesn't have these drag racing motors on it. It has Brother Hobby 2806.5s on it. And the all-up weight with a Hero 7 and a 1050 milliamp hour 6S, it comes in around 860 grams. 860 grams. Yikes. So, of course, I took it out there to fly because, you know, I give everything a fair shake. But despite the fact that it has humongous motors on it, it still flies like a heavy quad. I think that if you're going to put the 2806.5 motors on it, you may as well put 6-inch props on it. Now, this is a 5-inch frame that they sent me. I'm not even 100% sure if it's available in a 6-inch version. But I think that like somewhere around 25 millimeters in diameter is like, I would have said that a 25 motor is pointless for a 5-inch. But Bob Ruge, his 5-inch motor is somewhere around 25 millimeters in diameter. No one knows the actual dimensions. And I've heard rumors of what the height is, but so if Bob says there's a justification for a 25 millimeter motor on a 5-inch prop, so be it. Okay, he clearly knows what he's talking about. I just don't understand why a 28 millimeter motor, that's a 7-inch prop motor. But okay, I asked Neil about it, and he said, well, especially when you're carrying a heavier camera or a bigger battery, those bigger motors give you better performance. Okay, I mean, I'm down. My takeaway from this frame is that it is, think about what Catalyst Machine Works is building these days. One of the things they're building is very lightweight racing frames. This is not that. And the other thing they're building is heavier cinematic frames. And it feels like the Shocker HD tank is closer to a heavyweight cinematic frame than a flippy floppy freestyle frame. It's durable as hell, but that was with it was 860 grams with a Hero 7, not a Hero 9. Oof. It's like 25 more grams to go to a Hero 9. And a 1050 milliamp hour 6S, and I got about 3 to 3.5 minutes of flying off that. Really, I think this thing needs to be flown with like a 1250 6S at a minimum. And I think this is more of a 900 gram cruiser than a flippy floppy freestyle frame, at least as it was sent to me. Now, if I were to build this out for myself, if I were trying to get this closer to like a freestyle build, I would definitely use smaller motors, 24, 25 millimeter at the most. I do agree the bigger motors make more sense on the heavier builds, but I'm not sure I personally see the justification for a 2806.5 on a 5-inch prop. Or use 6-inch props with a 2806. This thing seems like a killer 6-inch freestyle frame, potentially. Because that extra prop, you put a 2806.5 motor on it, you put a 1500 milliamp hour 6S, and it's somewhere around 900, maybe a little more grams. But with a 6-inch prop on it, it could really push that around. It's still not going to feel like a 5-inch, but it's going to have a little more going on. I think, yeah, that's my take on it. Richard says, what are the flight times? Again, I got about 3 to 3.5 minutes of flying off a 1050 6S with Gemfan hulky props, so fairly aggressive props. I just think 2806.5 is a gigantic motor for a 5-inch prop, and you really have to load it down in order to make that motor make sense. Philoxathene suggests we overvolt and run it at 8S. Yes. Also could be an interesting direction. Yep. I think by the time you're carrying 900 grams, I think you're outside the realm where 5-inch props are the optimal size of prop to use. That's just like my take. All right, so full review coming up. I think it's really important to take a product for what it wants to be, not what you might want it to be. So the way I approach this kind of review is, first thing I do is I just take it and I fly it, and I see how it flies. And I go, okay, well, it's not a flippy floppy freestyle frame, which I guess it kind of never was going to be at that weight. And then say, okay, what is it intended to be? And then does it make sense as that? Damian Jensen wants to know, is it pointless to get high resolution goggles like the Cobra X for analog because the analog signal is nowhere near high definition? Damian Jensen, you're not wrong. Bear in mind the Cobra X goggles have HDMI input, though. They could be used with a computer or with a high definition system like SharkBite. I do think that if you're purely doing standard definition analog, somewhere around 800 by 600, there's not much point in going higher than that. It doesn't hurt. Less than about 600 lines of resolution, I think you might theoretically notice the difference. Pat's Head is suggesting I try HQ's 5.5 by 3 by 3 props. Yeah, if you're going to run the 2806 motors on a 5-inch build, then a 3-blade, a high-pitched 3-blade, or maybe even a 4-blade. But going to those high-pitched props, you are going to lose resolution down at low throttle, which is not ideal. Let's get some super chats out of the way. No, we have a ton of super chats come in. Let's get some super chats out of the way. Sky High UAV, thank you for a $10 super chat. Hectactica, thank you for a $5 super chat. Oldest Quad, by the way, Sky High UAV, there was no question attached to your message. If you meant to ask a question, maybe at me in the chat, or if you want to really be sure, leave like another $2 super chat and ask your question. Thank you for your donation. Hectactica wants to know, the oldest quad that you have or fly is probably my Beast class. Everything else is sort of rotated out of the rotation. Used Fat Shark Attitude V5 versus DJI with analog. Hello? For real? Is that even a question? And they're not even close in price, and they're not even close in performance. I mean, it just depends on your budget, I guess. DJI with analog, clearly. There's a little bit more latency on the DJI AV input, maybe 15-ish milliseconds. I haven't actually measured it, but that's what it kind of feels like when I go. I only notice the DJI AV input latency if I go back and forth between goggles and DJI on the same quad. Otherwise, I don't really notice. I have to acknowledge that it's there. Some people fly DJI. I mean, let's face it. By the time you start getting used to DJI, you're not going to want to fly analog anymore anyway. So, yeah. Closest you've come to quitting FPV? Oh, I don't know, man. I don't think I've come close to quitting FPV. Not yet. Sky High UAV, thanks for $2 more super chat. Still no question attached to it. Very sorry, man. Still no. I don't know why your question isn't coming through. I'm going to try to keep an eye out for you in the chat, Sky High, and hopefully get your question. But I hope I get it. Milford Killian Dawson, thanks for £2. Your mama's so huge, I flew my long range around her once. Ha! That's good. Your mama's so big. I was flying Crossfire at 2 watts, and I still fail-safed when I got around the backside of her. Okay. Riding Durant, thanks for a $10 super chat. How do you determine the right size capacitor for the build? You're going to want the voltage to be matched to the system voltage. So for 4S, you're going to want like a minimum of... I've seen people use a 16-volt capacitor on 4S. I don't think it's a good idea. So for 4S, I would say 25 to 35 volts. And for 6S, I would say 35 to 50 volts. Technically, you would want to be on a 50 volt capacitor for 6S, but realistically, a lot of people don't like the size of them and use 35 volt. These Blue Sky 56 is Sky High UAV. Blue Sky, you asking your question in the Discord? I'll try and keep an eye out for it. If you use a capacitor that is not got the right voltage rating, a lot of times it will not. If you overvolt a capacitor too much, it just blows up. But let's say you've got a 6S quad, so it's running at about 25 volts maximum, and you use a 35 volt capacitor. Well, basically the capacitor's capacitance rating, it's not going to quite meet the capacitance rating. So if it's supposed to be 1,000 microfarads, maybe it'll be some, I don't know what the percentage is, something less than that. But it won't like just explode. And then about 1,000 microfarads is a good place to be. More than that isn't going to make a huge difference usually. Less than that you may be able to get away with, but somewhere around 1,000 microfarads is a good one for a 5-inch or a bigger quad. For smaller quads, you can use less. Chris Cameo, thank you for a $5 super chat. On a stream last week, you mentioned Kebab's new motors and some type of bell replacement. I see the ESC settings. Has he announced anything else? I don't think he's announced anything else. I may have let the cat out of the bag a little bit by mentioning that he planned. No, it was on his website, I thought. He's trying to figure out why the motors are desyncing and how to fix it is the bottom line. Oterkapi Kid, thank you for $2. When's the backpack giveaway? That has been posted, man. That's been posted. I don't know what to say about that. So people are always wondering, like, when's the giveaway? If we go to my YouTube channel, hello, and we go to the community page, you can see the winners were posted yesterday. There's also a comment on the video. So I think a lot of people don't know the community page exists. But a lot of people, I mean, don't see. If I posted a video, a lot of people wouldn't see the video either. So the winners of the giveaway have been posted, though. So I guess you didn't win. Sorry. Psych Limbo. How do you feel about 3-inch versus 4-inch Gecko? Blue Sky 56. So let's talk generally about 3-inch versus 4-inch. If your goal is to get under 250 grams, you need to be at around 3-inch. 4-inch quads can get under 250 grams, but at that point, they are more like lightweight long-range cruisers, and they don't have the durability that you need for proper freestyle and acro. If what you want is a long-range cruiser, then 4-inch is the place to be. Whether you want to be under 250 grams or not, 4-inch is going to give you lightweight with good efficiency. Those larger props are going to give you more efficiency. I think for freestyle, if weight is no object, I am having so much fun with my Catalyst Machine Works Shocker 4-inch. If weight is no object, well, then why not go to 5-inch? But you didn't ask about 5-inch. A 4-inch freestyle rig around, let's say, 300 grams dry, and maybe 350, 380 with a battery. And I'm running DJI on it, so I'm not carrying a GoPro or anything. Don't care. It flies really good. It doesn't quite fly like a 5-inch, and it doesn't quite fly like a 3-inch. It's this really nice spot in between where it's got just a little bit of flingability, and it doesn't have quite that sort of like a mosquito, like a 3-inch where it just kind of goes any direction. It's got just a little bit of stability and flingability, but it's still lightweight, has good flight time, very durable for its weight. I think 4-inch is a really fun place to be. If you don't want to carry a GoPro, 4-inch is a really fun place to be for freestyle. Catalyst Machine Works Shocker 4-inch is one of my favorite quads to fly right now. Yeah, Brendan D says 300 grams for a 4-inch is chunky. Okay, so two things about that. Number one, I just pulled that number off the top of my head, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't remember the exact dry weight of the shocker right now, but I think the shocker was something like 200, 260, 270 dry. So maybe 350 with a battery. Anyway. Jay McLeod, thank you for a $5 super chat. Oh, sorry. So to finish up Cyclimbo's question, if you need to be under 250 grams, 3-inch is the place to be. You give up too much durability on 4-inch unless you're just trying to do long-range cruising. For freestyle, and if you don't care about 250 grams, 4-inch is a great place to be. Jay McLeod, thank you for a $5 super chat. Recommendation on budget goggles, like I'm broke, so the least expensive that are still flyable. Eachine EV800D costs about $80 to $100. Don't spend any less than that. Just don't. Maybe if you can find something used. Don't be tempted by the Eachine EV100. In my opinion, don't do that. The next place to be after the Eachine EV800D is in the $160 to $200 range, which is, you're saying you're broke. So, unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot worth having that's below about $80 to $100. The EV800D is like, it's super solid. Like, it's not the best. It's not quite, it doesn't like fit your face great. For some people it might, and the image quality is like okay, but like it's super solid for $80 or $100. Fat Shark Scout. Yeah, Elijah Butler, you're not wrong. I always go to the 800D because so many people have used it. Fat Shark Scout is also solid. Fat Shark makes a good product. But the problem is Fat Shark Scout. No, not the Scout. You mean the Recon? Fat Shark Recon. Fat Shark Recon, $90. Okay. The one problem is Fat Shark Recon doesn't have diversity. That's a big give up. You're giving up a lot there. Doesn't have diversity? Is that right? I don't think it does. I think the EV800D is a better biz. I mean, the Scout has Fat Shark's build quality and support, which is worth something, but I want diversity. EV800D. 800D has diversity. That's a big deal. So some people would pick the Recon. The Recon's not a bad choice, but I feel like you're giving up, like to give up the diversity. It's kind of a big deal. He meant the Recon, not the Scout. Mikhail Vanderstein. Mikhail Vanderstein. Oh, wait, what happened? Hold on. What's going on with my... There we go. I've gone through... We got a ton of super chats. I apologize to everybody in their chat for not getting your messages and the Discord, but I got to get these super chats done. I've gone through 4 Pyrodrone F4 flight controllers and 4 Crossfire Nanos. Is this typical for Pyrodrone boards? Why does this happen? I don't know if it's typical. Crossfire Nanos should be rock solid. The main way that people destroy Crossfire Nanos is they accidentally knock the capacitor off. There's a capacitor that's right near the edge of the board, and it's easy to kind of knock it off by accident. If you've destroyed 4 Crossfire Nanos, I blame you. No offense. Thank you for your $5 donation. I will now berate you. I hope that's what you came here for. If you've destroyed 4 Crossfire Nanos, you are the problem. Crossfire Nanos are not bulletproof. Nothing is, but you shouldn't have destroyed 4 of them. I'm trying to think how many. I mean, I've bought a lot of Crossfire receivers. I'm trying to think how many of them I have actually destroyed. I don't think I've actually ever destroyed a Crossfire receiver. Maybe I destroyed 1. Somehow. I'm trying to remember. So I don't know what's up with Pyrodrone flight controllers, but something is wrong. Maybe like your soldering iron's way too hot. How are you destroying them? How are they being destroyed? You can send Crossfire, Mike Bergman, thank you for pointing that out. You can send Crossfire Nano and any Crossfire Unify, TBS Unify, Crossfire receivers, any TBS product, you can send it back to them and they'll repair it for you. So if you do have 4 dead Crossfire Nano receivers, it might be worth the postage to send them back to Taiwan, or not Taiwan, Hong Kong, where TBS is based. That's not typical, though. I mean, I don't know. The Crossfires are not typical. 4 dead flight controllers. How long have you been flying? I mean, if you're Corey, if you're Cricket, he just destroys stuff all the time because he just goes hard and crashes and destroys things. But definitely be careful about those. Let's take a look. Let me get a picture. Definitely be careful about those capacitors on the edge of the board. Let me pull up a picture here and see if I can find it. Is it this one here? Is it this capacitor, like right here, the one that gets knocked off, or is it on the other side? Let's see if I can find the underside. Yeah, maybe it's this one here. I'm not sure which one it is that people usually knock off. I think it's this capacitor here near the LEDs, because you're like fiddling around trying to hit the bind button and you knock off the capacitor. I'm not 100% sure which one it is. Maybe it's one of these ones over here. But those are easy things to accidentally knock off. You don't want to do that. Aerospace Inc. 53. House FPV points out in the Discord they fixed the capacitor issue on newer boards. They've upgraded the design so there's not a capacitor right near the edge to get knocked off. So that may be fixed in newer boards. Good point. Thank you, House, for pointing that out. Aerospace Inc. 53, thanks for a $5 super chat. Has anybody successfully done bidirectional D-shot on an iFlight Beast? I'm not having much luck here. Seems like it could be a deal breaker. I mean, surely the iFlight Beast supports bidirectional D-shot, right? It would be stupid if it didn't. Let us know in the chat. Aerospace Inc., thank you for your question. Let us know in the chat if you have an iFlight Beast. And actually, I'm going to ping iFlight right here, and they may get back to me or they may not in time. But let's see here. All right, I'm going to ping Patrick from iFlight and see if he answers me during the stream. Crunked says he flew the iFlight Beast F7 with bidirectional D-shot just fine. Okay. Schnob wants to know, what's your ESC settings for the FPV Cycle 5-inch motors? Exactly what Kebab says they should be. It's on the store page for the FPV Cycle 5-inch motors. iFlight Beast F7 is BL Heli S. You should still be able to do JESC or whatever. Bambi FPV is trying to use BL Heli M. Right, so Aerospace Inc., if they're BL Heli S ESCs, you need to use JESC, BL Heli M, or what's that other one? There's one other firmware that they just released. You need to use a stock BL Heli S, won't do it. Francis Alerte, thank you for $5 Canadian. I'm trying to bind Radiomaster TX16S with a Futaba receiver and I can't make it happen. Do I need to find the exact frequency to make it work? Does the TX16 have the Futaba chip? What protocol are you selecting, Francis Alerte? It does support fast. So what protocol would you need to pick? Available protocols list. Sorry, you guys can't see that. Futaba SFHSS, and yeah, so it looks like there's only one Futaba protocol, right? Yeah. So make sure you've selected this Futaba protocol. Other than that, are there more than one Futaba protocol that would prevent it from binding? It should work. I guess make sure you've selected the Futaba protocol. That would be one thing to do. Rasta 1979, thanks for £2. How to set the midpoint for DJI RC in Betaflight. Calibrate the sticks. So I don't think the DJI controller has adjustable sub trim like that. It doesn't even have trims, does it? But once you calibrate the sticks, the midpoint should be pretty rock solid. At least it usually is. Lodo Films, so run the calibration, Rasta 1979. Run the calibration routine in the DJI controller, in the DJI goggles. Lodo Films, thanks for a $5 super chat. Sky High UAV, there we go. We finally got your question about the 3-inch versus the 4-inch Gecko. Elijah Butler, what should be the first drone I build myself? Asks Elijah. Thank you for a $2 donation. What should be the first drone you build yourself? Well, if you ask me, it should be the... Hello. Come on, bring up that page. It should be the Xylo 5-inch HD digital freestyle beginner drone bundle. This is the DJI HD version, which of course is a great option. Or you could get the analog version, which comes down from $400 to $250. Comes with everything you need to build the drone and a great set of tutorial videos from yours truly about how to build it. It was specifically designed to be a great first build, and I'll just throw a link to that in the chat for you. Matthew Barcombe, thank you for a $5 donation. Meteor 75, I flashed JESC. Now at times, one or two motors will not arm, or they will arm and just the quad will jump all over. Any ideas that might help? Yikes. I mean, that's not good. Can you turn off bidirectional D-Shot and see if that fixes it? Elijah Butler wants to build a cinematic build. Here's the deal, Elijah. Your very first build, let's say you want to do cinematic, whatever, doesn't matter. Just build a 5-inch freestyle quad for your first build. Use it for cinematic stuff if you want. It doesn't matter. If it's your very first build, you should just build probably a 5-inch freestyle quad. Because you're going to need something to learn on. You're going to need to learn to build. You don't want to build a 7-inch cinematic rig that you're going to take to the mountains and then not know how to fly, and then you're going to lose it. So just build a 5-inch freestyle build. It's like you say, I want to race cars, and they start you on karts, right? Just little karts. You're like, well, I don't want to do kart racing. Doesn't matter. You want to be an automobile racer? They start you on karts. That's just where you start. So you absolutely can do cinematic stuff with a 5-inch freestyle build. The thing is, if you find a tutorial for a 7-inch cinematic rig, more power to you. But 5-inch freestyle is where the tutorial's at and where all the information's at. You're going to love flying it. And then when you finish building it and you go to fly, you're not going to know how to fly it. So you're not going to be doing all kinds of crazy cinematic stuff with it anyway. So the reason I don't say a 3-inch diving Falcon is that 3 inches typically will have a 20 millimeter or maybe even a 16 millimeter flight controller. It's going to be much harder to solder on and less reliable. So Matthew Barcombe, going back to your question about the Meteor 75, try turning off bidirectional D-Shot. Maybe or go from D-Shot 600 down to 300 if you're using D-Shot 600. Try those things. LG, thank you for 25. SEK. How do we get 10-minute freestyle flight time or 5-minute plus? You need to reduce weight. That's the answer. The thing is, it's like asking, how do I get 30 miles per gallon and a quarter-mile time in the 11s? Americans. Hello, Americans, drag racing. You're not going to get great fuel efficiency out of a high-performance, high-powered car. And you're not going to get 10-minute flight times out of a high-powered, high-performance freestyle quad. So if you really want to fly freestyle for 10 minutes, then what are you going to give up? Right? There's all these axes, and in order to get more on one axis, you have to give up something on another axis. So you say, well, I want long flight time. Okay, well, you have to give up performance. No, I also want performance. Okay, well, what else are you going to give up? What you're going to give up is lightweight and durability. So you can build a lightweight 4-inch, maybe 5-inch freestyle rig that can fly for 10 minutes. But if you crash it, it's going to break. You know? What I always say, why do you want to fly for 10 minutes? There's not really a great reason to freestyle for 10 minutes, if you think about it. If you need to fly for 10 minutes because you're trying to fly out and back, fly out to, like, you know, an island over the water, and it's going to take you 3 minutes to get there and 3 minutes to come back. Well, that's not freestyle per se. It's more like long distance cruising. It's not really long distance, but you see what I'm saying. If you really want 10-minute freestyle, then you have to go to a lighter weight rig, or you have to have heavier rig with less performance. Just buy more batteries. Exactly. William Barlow, right on the money. A typical freestyle pilot, because people always think, oh, 3-4 minutes maybe of freestyle? That's not very much. Just buy more batteries. I assure you, you can get plenty of excitement into a 4-minute flight time. Fly to the top of a mountain, freestyle a tree, then fly back. I mean, the argument could be there that there are certain missions for which you need that time. Jeff RC. Oh my God, we have a ton of super chats today. Amazing. Jeff RC, thank you for, let me see if I can speed up. Thank you for 5SGD. Thanks for the help on Messenger about the FPV Cycle 5-inch motor. I flew with no desyncs. How do I identify bounce back, or is it just twitchy hands? Black box doesn't show noise. The only way to be sure about bounce back is to look in black box. Look at RC command and see if the RC command shows that you're moving the stick. OG K-Tur P-Kid, thanks for $2. Thoughts on the FetTech spike absorber? Yeah, FetTech spike absorber. This is a product. It's a TVS diode that you add to your quadcopter and helps protect it from voltage spikes. Well worth having, but not mandatory, I don't think. Many people run without them. It definitely can help protect your equipment and the ESC from spikes. I think what is the Rush? Rush has one. Here we go. The Rush power filter board is also worth looking at. It has both TVS diodes and capacitors. It's worth looking at. So, Lodo Films, thanks for a $5 super chat. Still confused about range and interference. My drone lost signal at 50 yards in the middle of nowhere, but the other day I was able to go 3/4 mile from the house. If you lost signal at close range, then you could have a hardware problem or you could have interference. Dominic Clifton pointing out that he installs TVS diodes on his new flight controller designs. That's fantastic. Really, flight controllers and ESCs should come with TVS diodes pre-installed. Some of them do, like Dominic Clifton's new designs. So if you're fail-safing at very short range, either you have interference, which is causing that failsafe. The way you identify interference is that it's going to be localized to a specific location. You'll only have short range at one spot when you're near like a certain radio tower. If you're fail-safing at very short range, the other thing it could be is just a hardware problem. You know, damaged receiver, damaged antennas, and so forth. Lodo Films, thanks for another $5 donation. We're almost caught up on the Super Chats. Just 2 or 3 more. I set up the X-Hover Blaster V2 with DJI, upgraded Lumineer Axie 2 patch, double Axion goggles, etc. Oh, I see. Same deal. If you're losing video signal, your video transmitter could be overheating. Your antenna could be damaged. All possibilities. Does Ultra, thank you for $5 Australian, but no question. Is the screen on the Cobra S good enough, asks Alex, or should I get the X? I would steer you toward the X. The Cobra, I mean, if obviously there's more money, I think the screen on the S is better. It's switchable 69 and 4.3, whereas the S is not. That would be something that would steer me towards the X. Bastian Sonderman wants to know about the DJI goggle in the EU store. The DJI store says not available in your region. That just, I mean, has the DJI store actually released the goggle yet? I don't even know if the DJI store has released the goggle for any region. I think it's just resellers that are selling before the official release date. Really? You're not gonna you're gonna or those terms together instead of anding them? Are we happy now? Oh, nope. They're available here. I can only assume that they're going to release them to other regions when the drone releases. I mean, I can't imagine why else they would not be released. But I know when that date is supposed to be, but I can't say. Is the Caddx Vista durable? Asks KLG 2303. Yeah, the Vista and the Air unit are very durable. The main weak point on them is the antenna connector. The UFL connector can get ripped off if you don't secure your antenna correctly with the Vista. The MMCX connectors on the Air unit can break off inside if you don't secure the antennas correctly. So definitely carefully and secure the antennas. Other than that, they are not entirely unbreakable, but pretty close. I guess the other thing is the Vista, there's a diode on the TX line, an RX line, an S-bus line. And in some cases, the Vista can get damaged by voltage spikes. And you'll know this has happened if your OSD disappears and your TX RX pads stop working. The diode can pop due to voltage spikes. So always use a capacitor when you're powering the Vista from VBAT. Always use a capacitor. Pacific Northwest pilots, no update on the QAV-S frame. I'm still waiting to get a prototype from them with a solid top plate and a few other changes that I asked for. Alex, I answered your question about the Cobra S. Alex, you're re-asking your question about should you get the Cobra S or the Cobra X, but I answered the question. So now you didn't see it. Oh well. Oh, excuse me. What's your opinion on the Naked Vista? Asks Tiago Ramos. Will they last? There's enough people who have been flying Naked Vistas for long enough that I think that they don't. I mean, obviously you remove all the case from it, and the durability will go down. But they don't seem to just be like self-destructing. They seem to be doing okay. So Sorry about that. My desktop is turned on. I just unplugged something and you heard a USB noise. So that's not you, that's me. Sorry about that, guys. Eddie Nunez, the camera that you're looking at right now is a Panasonic Lumix G85. Do you think a Vista would overheat in a squirt build? No, I think it would get plenty of airflow. Cypress Dehobalicious. Oh, excuse me. I don't know what my problem is tonight, guys. Oh. Cypress Dehobalicious wants to know, what's your opinion on KISS over Betaflight? That relates to a question that some people asked. Apparently, Alex Vanover... No, where's the Rotorite page? Alex Vanover has released his new signature build, and it uses FetTech, not Betaflight. What? Pro Spec built-in tune bundle with FetTech flight controller. So, yeah, there's no doubt that FetTech makes good hardware and that that KISS flies really well. There are other reasons. I mean, there's also no doubt that Betaflight can fly really well. There's reasons to go with KISS, Betaflight, Flight 1. I think the big thing for me, at least, that keeps me coming back to Betaflight is the diversity and availability of hardware, as well as the open source development, meaning that you can follow along with the development, and the pace of development is pretty fast. Metal Dirtskin says, wasn't Vanover flying Brain FPV not that long ago? That's right. I think he was. He was sponsored by Brain FPV. Now he seems to be switching to FetTech. I don't know anything about what the deal is there. Dominic Clifton says he just goes where the money is. I mean, I don't think that's true, Dominic. I can tell you, I don't know how much I should say, because I don't want to tell Alex's story for him. But I think Alex has spoken about he was sponsored by Flight 1. He really liked Flight 1. And one of the things he was frustrated with was the availability of parts. One of his motivations for switching from Flight 1 to Brain FPV was that he could get enough spares to keep all his quads in the air from Flight 1. I don't think that, I guess I shouldn't say because I don't know. I never heard about any sort of paid sponsorship with Brain FPV. So if that I think he just switched because he liked their gear. And now he's switching to FetTech, and I don't know why he might have done that. But there you go. It sure as heck probably flies nice. I mean, FetTech, the Mr. Steel build I flew really nice. KISS has always flown really well, and FetTech makes good hardware. So Dominic says he's got so much talent, it doesn't matter what he flies. There's always that. Suffice it to say, a pilot like Vanover can make anything look good. And at this, you kind of want to say that it doesn't matter what he flies, but actually, like, a lot of times very, very good pilots will get very picky about their hardware. And they'll dislike anything that isn't exactly like they want it. So I guess we can't really say that. Big FPV says Vanny's flying Flight 1 on his race rigs again. Oh, I didn't know that. Looks like it's just his freestyle rigs that he's going KISS on. How much does the Vanny build weigh? I don't know the answer to that. I don't see a weight on the spec page. That's for sure. So much for my old fashioned. We're only an hour into the stream and I'm already out of my drink. What am I gonna do? Bobby Baggs says he races Brain FPV but freestyles with FetTech. Well, I mean, I guess we could just ask him. But there you go. Lodo Films, thanks for another $5 super chat. Thanks for everything. I never would have made it past day one without your knowledge. Crash Override, thanks for a $5 super chat. Do you know of any plans for DJI to release a firmware update to allow 16:9 viewing for analog? Crash Override, no. There are no. That's not on the roadmap as far as I know. It has been requested, and they do know that that's something people want. My hope, I have no reason to believe this is true, but my hope is that once the new DJI drone comes out, there will be more time to put development back into the firmware. There have been almost no updates to the FPV firmware in the last, 6 months. I don't remember when 0600 came out, but we got 50 megabit per second mode, which is freaking awesome. And then it just kind of stopped. And I think the reason it stopped is that they've been working on the DJI drone, the FPV drone. I hope that when the FPV drone comes out, they'll go back to the pace of development that they were and maybe do 16:9 viewing. It's not that freaking hard to scale a 4.3 to a 16:9. They just have to find the time to do it. The Dark Knight, thank you for a $5 super chat. I want to build a drone specifically for racing that carries a Caddx Vista so I can use it on a DJI setup. Advice on the frame, motors, ESC, and flight controller. Didn't Catalyst Machine Works just release a new America? America 5-inch V2. Does this thing have a DJI in it? Surely it does. No. Do not use it. Well, aluminum screws for the stack, maybe. Maybe. I always strip aluminum screws. That doesn't look like a Vista to me. No. What's a good racing frame that takes a Vista? I don't know. What's a good racing frame? Bobby Baggs thinks there is. Yeah, because it's just a 3D printed canopy. So surely they could make a version of the canopy that carries the Vista. Yeah. Canopy options to fit Caddx Vista or Nebula. Bingo. So, I mean, if you really want to build a racing frame that's made for Vista, there are very few out there, I think, because most of the time, racers don't want DJI, they want analog. And by the way, I would encourage you, if you are serious about racing, to seriously consider analog. There are all kinds of reasons that racing is tailored towards analog. If you just want to race at club races, then probably your local club can find a way to make it work with DJI. But especially if you actually intend to be serious about racing and hope to go to the highest levels, then you really need to be on analog. If you want to build a race quad, a true race quad with Caddx Vista, I mean, I've always liked the Catalyst Machine Works America. I've always thought it was a great racing frame. And if they have a Vista version, more power to you. That's what I would steer you towards. As far as motors, ESCs, and flight controller, I would say that you should go to this beautiful website. Wow, look at this website, you guys. FPVknowitall.com, home of the ultimate FPV shopping list. And there's a section there on motors that'll make some suggestions for you, as well as flight controllers and so forth. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to plug my website. Does Ultra, thank you for 10 Australian dollars. I'm a total noob and I'm starting out with liftoff. What's the best resource for flying tips? I would, here's where I'm going to steer you. I'm going to steer you towards this Velocidrone tutorial. And there are other tutorials out there. I think this one is pretty nice. And even though you're using Liftoff and not Velocidrone, I know you're like, I said I was using Liftoff. You could still do the exercises in this tutorial and follow along. And I think it's a really good tutorial. All right. Uh-oh. Have I missed? Steve Howell. Steve Howell, I'm very sorry. Are you still here? Looks like I missed your super chat. Just about to get it. Sorry about that, Steve. I don't know how I did that, but Steve, thank you for 15 Australian dollars. Thanks for all your help, Steve asks. Just wondering if there's anything I should be doing in the CLI when installing a barometer on my flight controller. I installed it, but I can't seem to get it to work. Steve, the barometer connects to the I2C pads, right? The SDA and the SCL pads. I mean, there's Betaflight command line options to get that working. I don't know them off the top of my head, to tell you the truth. Let's take a look. I think it should just auto-detect normally. Jacob Stringfellow, the Runcam Phoenix 2 JB Edition does not have a microphone built in. So I think most flight controllers should be set up to auto-detect. So if I go to the CLI, all right. So here are our barometer CLI options. And baro bus type equals I2C should be the default. And that's what you want, assuming that it is connected to the SDA and the SCL pads. And then I2C device, I'm not sure what the right setting is for that or that. I've looked into this before, and basically what I was told is most of the time you just wire the barometer up to the I2C pad and it auto detects it from there. But if you've got a barometer wired to the SDA and the SCL pads on your flight controller and it's still not working, I'm not sure I can tell you what to do. I hope that you have connected it wrong, and telling you that it needs to be connected to the SDA and the SCL pads is going to be enough to fix it, and then I can take credit and justify your super chat. Israel Castellan, thank you for a $10 super chat. I'm building a 6S Moongoat for flowy freestyle. Cricket Hype Train motors or Omegod motors? Are they the same? Well, no, they're not the same. They're not made by the same company or anything. As for which you would pick, let's take a look. So the Cricket Hype Train motors are 2306.6 in size. Basically a 2306 motor with a little bit larger magnets on the stator to help capture a little bit more of the magnetic field. And a beautiful gold color. The Omegod motors, I'm assuming you're talking about the Hex 2306 motors. So it's a little bit of a smaller motor, 1777 kV, whereas the Cricket is 2550. What about the 6S version? I know there's a 6S version. Is there? $1750, very similar in kV. Hexagonal socket. to help you remove stubborn props. Oh, that's cute. Let's see, what kind of bearing? NSK bearings, that's good. What bearings do the Cricket motors have? Single piece bell, that's good. I'm feeling like that's not a single piece bell. I'm feeling like between these two motors, 25, 26, very close in price. Yeah. It's always hard to know. Because, of course, build quality is impossible to judge just by looking at a spec sheet. What alloy? What alloy? Does it say? What type of aluminum? Doesn't say. Also, 6061. That's a mark against the Crickets. Using the 6061 aluminum definitely brings the price down, but they're softer. If the God was a 70, is it 7075? Tell me what kind of aluminum it is. 6061 doesn't say. Just 7075. If the God was the 7075 aluminum, that would sway me towards it. I'm not a fan of 6061 aluminum motors. My motors were made of 6061 aluminum. I didn't like it and I complained about it. And they're not we're not making them anymore. Is one of the things I was like, why are there motors out there? Why is my motor $26 and there's motors out there for $21 that are using 7075? How can we justify that? To get FPV's credit, they said, oh yeah, we can do something about that. But there were other factors that was like, yeah, maybe we're not going to make my motor. We're going to do something different. Oh my God, motor looks like it has a giant gap. Did look like it had a big gap, didn't it? That big gap, though, is going to help with durability. It's going to reduce power, but it's going to help with durability and smoothness. Having a very, very tight magnet gap is actually not... It makes the motors coggier and more powerful. That's tough. The Cricket's a bigger motor. It's going to make more power. All right, time to get off the... time to stop deliberating and say... I think the Cricket has a lot going for it. I like the fact that it's a little bit of a bigger motor. Going to give a little bit more power. Single piece bell is very nice. I probably would lean toward the Cricket motor. If it wasn't 6061 aluminum, I'd feel better about it. I think for smooth freestyle, the God motor may give better results because I know what Tommy has designed it for. And if the God motor was 7075 aluminum, then I'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's the one. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you to Wesley Thu for $50 super chat. That's a massive super chat. Thank you so much. Keep up the hard work. I got a 90X V3 with a TBS Nano. I connected to Betaflight. Everything registers. So when I go to take off, everything works, but the throttle, pitch, and roll, yaw, and roll don't work. What you say when you go to take off, everything works, but the throttle, pitch, yaw, and roll work. I don't know about that. I don't really understand your question. Wesley Thu, your question doesn't make sense. I hope you can get back to me. I appreciate your donation, but you say when you take off, everything works, but the throttle, pitch, yaw, and roll work. If you take off, everything works, then how do throttle doesn't work? Oh, you're in turtle mode. You're in turtle mode, dude. You have turtle mode active by accident. If pitch, yaw, and roll work, but throttle doesn't, you're accidentally in turtle mode. So go into the modes tab and see if turtle mode's working. Abraham, no big deal, man. I didn't miss you yet. I just hadn't got to you. I had read Israel Castellan's chat, and then I usually work backwards but Wesley Thew's $50 donation was so big that I wanted to jump and get it quickly. Abraham, thank you for a $5 donation. Any reason to not buy the V1 or pre-order V2 DJI now? Seems everything I buy is replaced by a newer updated version shortly after buying it. Any word from Orca? I haven't heard any word from Orca about their HD system. They have teased that they're working on it. I don't know anything. I wouldn't know anything. I'm not really in the pre-release cycle for Orca. So it could come out tomorrow and surprise us all, but I haven't heard anything. DJI is well established. We know what we're getting with it. I feel like if you can find the V1 goggles used today, then that's a pretty good deal. If you don't intend to fly the new DJI FPV drone, the things that the V2s bring to the table are very incremental. The only like killer feature is the ability to output USB, video over USB. But even that might not be worth, if you could save, say, $75, maybe $100 by buying a used set of V1s, or maybe even a new set of V1s, you'll save a little bit of money. But the only thing to wait for is the release of the DJI FPV drone, which you may not care about at all. So okay. Jolly Monster FPV wants to know, how do you attach a RunCam 5 to the frame of your Xylo build? Jolly Monster is in the Discord. As a reminder, if you want to join these beautiful people over in the Discord server, over here on the right side of my screen, you can become a patron. You can join my Patreon. Patreon is a website that lets you subscribe to me for as little as $2 a month or more. If you feel like I've earned it, it's totally up to you. You pick the amount, and there are tiers from $2 all the way up to, there's even a $100 tier where you actually get to get on the phone with me, and I will actually talk to you in person and help you with your problems. I'll help, for the record, I'll help you for free. Just email me. Message me on Facebook. But if you actually want me to sit down, put everything down, and talk to you for an hour, that costs $100. It's just how it is. You can join for anywhere from $2 and up, and you get to be in the Discord with these lovely people. Sync Happens says, cool people only. If you join the Discord, you are automatically cool. It just becomes cool. So how do you mount a RunCam Orange to the Xylo budget build? The frame is the Freak style. Let's look for 3D printed mounts for the Freak style. They're not going to have one for the Orange. Is the Orange the same size as a GoPro Session? I think an Orange fits into a GoPro Session mount, doesn't it? So I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to suggest this product for mounting a Session. The frame is the Freak style, and here is a 3D printed mount for it. So that's what you should go for. Siati, good to see you, man. Mike Bergman, for $100, I will talk to you about pretty much whatever you want for an hour. I think at this time, the $100 tier is full. I only opened up because I don't want to spend every day. I mean, I'm really busy working on videos and stuff. And so I was like, I'm just going to put I put a limit, I think, of 5 on that tier. I think it might actually be full right now. So maybe I should open it up. I don't know. It's not really about the money. It's just if I said, hey, just call me anytime, I would do nothing but be on the phone. So the $100 price tag is more about making sure that that my phone isn't just ringing every day, all day. It kind of is. It's different when it's in chat. That's the thing. Sometimes people say, hey, do you think we could just jump on a Zoom call real quick? It'd be faster than if I chatted you. And I'm like, it'd be faster for you. You guys have heard me type on the stream. I type pretty quick. If we're in chat, look, here's how it goes. Check this out. I'm going to let you see it in real time. Okay. This is how it goes. I hope there's no like super personal messages here. Okay. So I'm talking about the Compass. That video is I'm talking about the Compass SDL, SCA. Where'd I put those wires? Okay, so the FC needs to have an SDA, SCL pad to use a Compass. What FC? Oh, he told me. Okay, to use a Compass. Does the Mamba F722 Mark II have those pads? Can you check the pinout diagram? Boom. Okay, now on to the next one. Is it possible you can send me a link to the page? Check the page to see when I announce it. Oh yeah, this guy wants a link to my Patreon. Boom. Gonna get him that. Paste. Done. Oh, this is a long one. This is... What about the receiver, battery, goggles, and controller? That quad can be ordered with receiver pre-installed. Controller roundup. Come on. Joshua Bardwell. Controller. Best F. Here we go. So here is a video I made about controllers. Boom. Goggle buyer's guide 2021. Boom. Here's a video to help you select some goggles. Boom. Okay, done. My point is, I hope you enjoyed that. My point is, if I have to stop and do a Zoom call, it's way slower. It's faster for you, but it's way slower for me. Because I can be having 15 conversations at the same time. Because I type and I think faster than you do. Just because this is all I do all day. So, that $100 price tag to get me on a call is mostly just because I will have to stop answering everybody else's question in the meantime. Anyway. Elise La Palme, thank you for $5 Canadian. What do you think about the Zing 2 motors from iFlight? Yeah, let's look at those. So, Zing 2 motors. Zing 2 motors from iFlight. These motors just came out. Zing 2 2306, Zing 2 1404, and Zing 2 2506. This motor is intriguing. Excuse me, hang on. Excuse me. This is intriguing. Some people have speculated that this is a copy of Bob Ruge's 5-inch motor. I don't know if that's true or not. Zing makes good motors. There's no doubt about it. Here's the Zing 2306. It's interesting that they're not putting out a... maybe they're just starting the line. They're not putting out a 2207, though. 1755 kV and 2555. That's kind of high for a 4S kV. What's different about it? That's the big question. Same. I mean, the V1 motors were so good. What could they have improved? Center slotted N52H curved magnets. Drastically reduce the... What is that? Is N52H? That's the same curved arc magnets. Yeah. I would be extremely interested in Ryan Harrell comparing the response time of these motors to other similar motors and seeing if this claim is borne out. Reduce the air gap and stator lamination. Smaller air gap does give you better performance. Of course, it also reduces durability, since any small change, if the tighter the air gap, the easier it is to have the stator scrub against the magnets. It looks very similar. This is the big change, is they changed the magnets, I guess. And of course the bell is a new design. It looks very similar to the V1s, which were great motors. I'd be really interested to see somebody test to see if the claims about response time are actually true. It seems like it's mostly cosmetic. Siati wonders if Siati, I want to going back to the 2506 motor. So I when I first saw this motor, and I don't want to sound like I'm poking Zing. Zing is a good company. They make amazing motors. It is true that oftentimes somebody like Kebab FPV comes up with the idea. Like Kebab tries 50 different motor sizes. 1202, 1202.5, 1202.75, 1301. He tries a whole bunch of different motor sizes. He comes up with, he's like, hey, you know what, guys? For a 1S toothpick, a 1303 is the best motor. And Kebab says it. And then like a whole bunch of other people start making that same size of motor. That's the thing that happens. Not judging, I'm just saying it happens. So I saw this iFlight Zing motor and I was like, huh. Well, but it seems like somebody might have been cribbing from Bob's playbook. And I said, I wonder if they're going to have the same problems as the desyncs. And he said, nah, the KV's not high enough. So one of the reasons that his motors desync is that they're at a higher KV, so the magnets are spinning faster. And they shouldn't desync. There should be other ways that they're designed to combat that. But Bob doesn't think there will be desync problems on the iFlight motors, but they're also going to perform differently because the KV is different. So good question, Siati. A lot of people are I'm glad you guys enjoyed that look into my inbox. That is how I answer questions, and I do pretty much clear my inbox daily. RGMG. Yeah, I cleared my inbox this afternoon. My Facebook inbox I cleared before getting on the stream. Let's see how Gmail's doing. Let's see. Gmail 25. It's not bad. These days, I typically get about 30 or 40 emails overnight. I'll clear my inbox before I go to bed, and there will be 30 or 40 messages overnight. So maybe twice that a day in Gmail. And then between Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Discord, I've in the past, at my busiest, I think I was doing between 200 and 300 messages a day. That was back during the beginning of the year. There was a couple months around April, I think, where a whole bunch of people were either unemployed or on lockdown and working from home, and then the pandemic checks came, and a whole bunch of people spent pandemic checks on FPV stuff, and I was getting I was getting like 200 to 300 messages a day. These days, I'm probably closer to 100 to 150 messages a day. So. Anyway. Ron Grant, thanks for $5 super chat. Ron asks, as H7 flight controllers are coming along, what new features do you think it will bring for FPV? Ron Grant, it's very glad that you asked that, because Mr. Dominic Clifton is in the chat. And Dominic Clifton is one of the pioneers of making H7 flight controllers do cool things. Now, here's the thing. There are flight controllers out there with an H7 processor, and they are not using any of the cool things an H7 can do. They're just using it as marketing. Or maybe they're future-proofing. But basically, they're just using the H7 as like a faster F7. Is it even faster? I'm not even sure it runs at a faster clock speed. It might. I'm not sure. So let's take a look here at the SP Racing H7 Extreme, just so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. This flight controller can do a thing called PID audio, where if you have an earbud, so you can hear your motors, it can actually generate audio into your earbud. Dominic Clifton says the H7 is much faster clock speed than the F7. I didn't want to assume just because it was a higher number that it was faster. Sometimes that's not true. So this thing can help you PID tune your quad by playing sound into your earbud through your video transmitter that represents how good your PID tune is. That's something that the H7 chip has the ability to do image processing and audio processing that an F7 can't. Some H7s, does this have an OSD chip? It does. So some H7s use the H7 chip for graphical OSD. The H7 can do graphics, can do image processing of like a television signal. This one doesn't appear to do that, but some of them can. Betaflight support for that is a little marginal. This guy can load firmware off the SD card, flash itself from the SD card. So you could switch this guy from ArduPilot to Betaflight to iNav just by putting a different SD card in. That's pretty slick. Dominic points out the Lightning H7 uses Pixel OSD functionality. So yeah, these are some of the things an H7 can do that an F7 or an F4 can't. Mark Philly 80, thank you for a $5 super chat. What would you charge to tune a 7-inch for me, but for real? I would steer you towards UAV Tech's website, theuavtech.com, and I believe Crunked is the one who is working with. I don't know if you're working with Mark Spatz or if he just refers to you, but if you go to theuavtech.com, it's hard to say. Theuavtech.com. He used to have a tuning service, but he doesn't do it anymore. But he does refer people. So he's referring people to crunkedquads.com. And Crunked will tune. And if Mark Spatz recommends Crunked, then Crunked is legit. So I'm going to put a link here. If you want somebody to tune your quad, that is who you should go to. Remy Tim, thanks for $5 more. $5 coming your way if you answer your Facebook messages for 60 more seconds. Well, I can't say no to a super chat. What did you do on your live stream? I made people watch me answer other people's messages while I ignored them. Okay, this one's easy. Done. I can run back to instead of what are we talking about? So first thing I do is what are we talking about? Just lights up the red LED and stays lit. Isn't there indicator in agent? Damn it. Okay, done. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to help that guy. He can't get TBS Cloud working. Okay, this guy's going to try something tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Don't need to answer. He's going to try tomorrow. He'll get back to me. Oh, here we go. Got a problem with my quad. It'll take off. It'll freak out and restart itself. Okay, so it restarts itself. That's key. It was flying fine until I had a crash. Okay, you crashed. Any ideas what it might be? Okay, this is easy. The problem started happening after you crashed, so there is probably physical damage somehow. After a crash, it flew for a short time since there were bad oscillations. Probably it's a damaged gyro equals new flight controller. Restarting itself could also be the FC, could be something else, I say replace the SC as a start. Okay, done. Boom. Maybe good for a quick video. Why use GoPro when you can mount mini 4K cams with built-in TV? The image quality of the GoPro is way, way better than the 4K cams. Way better. Why has nobody figured out how to send video to VR goggles like Oculus? The latency of converting the SD analog signal to HDMI for the VR goggles is too high. If you were using a HD system that outputs HDMI natively, maybe you could use VR goggles. Okay, boom, done. Let's see. Oh, this guy got it. Oh, sure. Can you help me? Sure, what's up? I got it. Thank you. Okay, cool. Glad you got it. Let me know if I can help you with anything else. Easy. Boom. Done. Checked off the box. Woo! See? Just like that. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, guys. That's how I do it. All right. Thank you for the super chat, Remy Tim. Mark Philly 80, thanks for a $5 super chat. I have a Flywood 60mm stack with LEDs on the flight controller and ESC. I can't get the LEDs on the ESC to work. You configure the LEDs on the ESC via BL Heli Suite. They're not controlled by Betaflight. They're controlled in BL Heli Suite. David Peter, are you out of luck for help? You trying to get a question in, dude? Let's see. David Peter says, I need some help. I'm new to FPV. Please tell me what's the best priced controller to use with the Tiny Hawk Freestyle 2. This shit's costing me an arm and a leg. You need something that combined in D8 mode, David. If you want the absolute cheapest, probably Beta FPV Light Radio. It's $40 and combined in D8 mode. I would really actually recommend you spend closer to $80 or $100, though. Get something like the Radio Master TX16, the Jumper T12, Jumper T Lite. Those are all possibilities. There you go, David. We got you, buddy. But honestly, if you're trying to get a question answered, listen, you just saw me answer a bunch of questions on my Facebook page. If you're trying to get a question answered in a live stream and I'm ignoring you, it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's just I'm not seeing your question. So just contact me on Facebook or email me. I will help you out. And if you didn't believe me, there you go. You saw me do it. What's going on in the Discord? Lava Chemist points out, I was talking about is an H7 faster. F722 runs at 216 megahertz. H745 is 480 megahertz, more than twice as fast. Yikes. Stay away from the Beta FPV Light Radio. Yeah, the problem with the Light Radio could have been an amazing radio, but like the solder joints on the gimbals are going bad, and people are opening it up and resoldering it, and they're like, okay, then it's pretty solid. But you don't want to have to open it up and resolder it if you just spent $40 on your first radio. So I wish that they would fix that, because it could be really solid. The iFlight IF8, that's a new one. I think I saw, probably was Albert Kim. I think I saw somebody recommending this radio. Is it good? It's $50. How's the build quality? That's the big question. It looks very similar to the Light Radio. How's the build quality? That's the big question, though. They're going to release a screen. That's interesting. What's the best aftermarket setup for the DJI V2 goggles? I'm a fan of the Lumineer Axie HD or the iFlight Crystal. I really like how they mount to or replace the front plate so you don't have antennas hanging off. I'm a big fan of that. Is there any way to announce your PIDs using OpenTX from the radio itself? Asks Drone Pilot. Drone Pilot, I don't think that's possible, but the on-screen display does have the ability to display your PIDs. That's only going to work if you're using analog, though. If you're using DJI, that's not going to work. David Saintonge says my Caddx Tarsier shuts down when my battery sags. Would it help? And it sags a lot because I live in Canada and it's cold here. Would it help to power it from a 12-volt BEC instead of the 9-volt pad from the flight controller? That's a tough one, David. The 9-volt regulator should not brown out off a 4S battery. If you think about it, 9 divided by 4... just check my math here, is 2.25 volts. There is no way. Okay, so let's say you need 8.5 volts, maybe 10 volts. No, 9, 10, 11. Maybe you need 11 volts. 2 volts of headroom to keep the 9-volt regulator working. 11 divided by 4, 2.75. There's just no way you should be sagging low enough to cause your 9-volt regulator to brown out. It shouldn't happen. Nevertheless, it is happening. So sure, I would try a different regulator and power the regulator off of VBAT and see if that fixes it. I mean, some sag more than others, but if the battery has to sag really low to get to the point where the 9-volt regulator browns out, and it just should never sag that low. Yeah. Drone Pilot says that iNav, he's using iNav and he can see the PID values. He's just trying to save on the items displayed on screen. Yeah, Drone Pilot, I don't know any way to read out your actual PID values. Telemetry doesn't carry the PID values. And without the values being carried in telemetry, then the controller can't read them out. So I think you're stuck having them displayed on screen. Bad Habit RC. Okay. Bad Habit RC says, any reason why you have the microphone so close to you? Can you just put it on top of you? I always wanted to ask you that. This style of microphone is designed to be up close. I don't know if it's a condenser or dynamic or whatever, but it's designed to be this close. It's not a shotgun mic. It's not highly directional. The microphones that are mounted up high above you, they're a style of microphone called a shotgun mic. They're directional, and the problem is that even a good shotgun mic is going to pick up a lot of room echo. Like right now, I feel like you get pretty good audio quality. You're not getting a ton of room echo, even though my room is basically completely untreated. I don't have any sound dampening or anything like that. So that's just where this mic needs to be. Like ideally it would be closer. Like ideally you would want to be really close to it. If I were doing like voiceover work or something, I would probably, I think this is a condenser. I might even have a different kind of mic, like a mic for even closer. But I don't want it to be like covering my face in the shot. Like this would be no good. So I have it down here. I've got the gain adjusted so it's reasonably good. And that's just where it ends up. What kind of mic is this? Is it a condenser? I don't think it's a condenser. It doesn't say. Well, it doesn't really matter. All right. Does your mic need power? If no, then it's USB powered. So I think it's the USB version of the NT1. The NT1 is a condenser. Yeah. The dynamic is the one that picks up more room noise, right? The condenser is the one that's more for like really being up close, I think. I'd have to go look. Thank you, Nick W, for a $50 super chat. That's two $50 super chats. It's been a good night for super chats. Thank you, Nick, for that. Thanks for all the advice, says Nick. I know CJ Fowler is like, oh, USB. You didn't know? It's a good freaking mic. It's a good mic. People are saying condenser mics pick up more room noise. So it's dynamic. It's dynamic mics that are the ones that you're like right up in your mouth. Yeah. Okay. Mark Philly 80. It has JESC for RPM filtering. Mark Philly, you got to be going back to that question about the, I don't know what you're saying. Okay. Thank you, Mark Philly. Would you buy a Shark Bite or would you buy a DJI V2 goggles if you just bought the EV300O, says Hotmail Boy. That's an awkward freaking question, Hotmail Boy. If you weren't a patron, I would blow you off and not answer it. It's an awkward freaking question, dude. So let's just start the question by saying, I don't know what your money's worth to you. Everybody's in a different place financially. Did you just buy the EV300O after you spent your whole summer freaking doing paper routes and mowing lawns, and that's your last $300 in the world, or whatever? What's a 300O goes for? It's closer to 400, right? Or are you a single guy with no kids and no wife and a full-time job and just more money than he knows what to do with? And you're like, yeah, I bought the EV300O, whatever, I'll sell it, I'll buy a DJI. You have to decide where your money's at. So we'll set aside the question of money, as if you can. I would 1,000% take DJI over SharkBite, because the things that SharkBite is good at aren't the things that I'm most concerned with. So what is SharkBite good at? SharkBite is, if you already have the EV300O, SharkBite's less expensive, because you don't have to rebuy the goggles. The 300O are great goggles. If you fly a lot of analog quads, the 300O are going to be better analog goggles than DJI. The OLED screen, incredible. Smaller in size. Lower latency. Not 100% sure about that. SharkBite, consistent latency. Unless you're racing, most people don't care about that. And if you are serious about racing, then you should be running analog anyway. So I don't see that as like even though SharkBite positions their low consistent latency as the killer feature, I don't see it that way. If you feel like you're very latency sensitive, maybe you will. So there you go. Those are all the things. Those are some of the things. SharkBite is, if you buy, they have the single board 200 milliwatt VTX. It's way lighter than a Vista. It's only 200 milliwatts though, so. But it is good for the smallest quads. So these are things that SharkBite excels at. Under the right set of assumptions, SharkBite is less expensive. But under different assumptions, SharkBite is not less expensive, which is strange that there is any set of assumptions where SharkBite isn't way less expensive than DJI. But DJI, you don't need me to go into all the reasons why it's fantastic. And so I'm not going to. I've done that before. Then people jump on me and say that I'm shilling. So instead, I'm going to structure this conversation as saying all the good things about SharkBite, and then saying, if those things don't appeal to you, DJI is way better. So I was just looking at the RC Group's thread about SharkBite's new firmware. SharkBite has just released a new firmware with some additional features. And I was looking at the RC Group's thread and looking at the bug reports and feature requests. And like one of the feature requests was, if I am playing back my DVR and I fast forward the DVR, there is no keystroke to let me go back to normal speed from fast forward. I have to like pause and restart. I may be getting some of the details wrong, but I was like, are you for real? The level of polish and refinement of the DJI system is ridiculous. Like that kind of bug just doesn't exist. So yeah, there's another guy out there who has a YouTube channel. I'm not going to mention who it is. Who is a big fan of SharkBite. Big fan of SharkBite. Hey, cool. You do you, buddy. But every so often he wants to rip on me, and it feels like I'm not giving SharkBite a fair shake, or I'm shilling too hard for DJI. And I'm like, listen, dude, I don't know what world you're living in where you do you, buddy. I guess is all I'm saying. It's just a freaking amazing product. I'm sorry. You could not like it. You could decide it's not for you. It's not perfect for everybody. You can't tell me it's not an amazing freaking product. So, that's not shilling. This is a fact. Any reviewer who talks about DJI and doesn't say, this is unbelievable. Now, here are the reasons why it's not for me. But any reviewer who is like, it's terrible. Oh, this other product is so much better. Just run. They are not being honest. They're just not. They're just not. Like, I'm tired of pretending that, like, when it first came out, I was like, I am going to be objective. You know, the DJI system has its pros and its cons. It's good for some people, but maybe not for others. And then as I saw normal people buying it and using it and going, oh my God, it's so good. And just every single person I saw who got it was like, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. I was like, well, maybe I need to stop pretending. Maybe I'm being dishonest by like pretending that it's not as good as it really is. And then I was just like, screw it. It's just that good. It just is. Anyway, that's my daily. Thank you. Just check that off the calendar, Alex. We got the DJI rant. Yeah, no, if I don't do it at least once a day, then DJI won't pay me. What do you mean the live stream's still going? Oh, that's going to be awkward. Yeah, we got the DJI rant out of the way. So somebody asked. Archimedes says, now tell us there's no virus in the DJI software and we can go to bed. Yeah. So that library or function that's getting flagged, like, it absolutely could theoretically be used to backdoor your system. That's a fact. Does DJI intend to use it that way? Like, somebody in the Discord suggested that maybe DJI had that in their development releases for whatever reason, and then forgot to take it out before. Who knows? No one knows. I can't assure you that there's no Trojan in there. In fact, I can assure you that the system that is flagging this thing that's in the file is right. It is there, and in theory, it could be used to backdoor your system. But just because it's there doesn't mean that your system is pwned. I don't know. It's on my computer, so there you go. All right, guys, we got 2 minutes. I guess I lost track of time. Guess that means I was having fun. Let's make sure I got my super chats out of the way. I believe Hotmail Boy, thank you for $2. I got you there. I believe we're caught up on super chats, and Frank Nicholas, I agree with you. There's no excuse for DJI releasing software that's flagged as virus flagged. I mean, mistakes happen. DJI should immediately release a fixed version that doesn't trigger the virus scanners. 100% agree with you there. Hey, Ciati. Yo, Ciati, you got 2 minutes. Hit us up with that live stream. Aaron Ciati is going to be streaming at 10 o'clock. Just in 2 minutes, he's going to post a link to his live stream. Hotmail Boy, thank you for a $5 super chat. Got to get me the Radio Master 16S Max. I've been with Spectrum forever, and now DJI goggles will be next whenever they come in stock. Yep. Ciati, are you there? There it is. He's spreadsheeting motor widths. That sounds like fun. Or something. It'll probably be fun. Micro Monday. So I'm going to be getting out of here. Do you think it has something to do with the blacklist they're on? Bobby Bags, there have been false positives in DJI software before, or actual positives. This is not the first time that it's happening, and it probably has nothing to do with anything, but who freaking knows? No one knows. That's going to do it, though, guys. We're going to finish up here. I will see you guys at 6 p.m. tomorrow for the news with It's Blunty. We're going to be rounding up the FPV news. And, of course, 1 p.m. Sunday and 8 p.m. Monday for the live streams. Thank you, Dominic Clifton, for the kind words. Thank you to everybody in the Discord, all the patrons in the Discord. Ciati is going to be working out all of the proper motor widths for each weight or prop for good response times. That does actually sound interesting. So head on over to Ciati's live stream. He's posting the link. And I will see you guys next time. Happy flying, everybody.